Okay, so do you want to just introduce yourself first?
Sure. I'm Gabby. I play in Eskimeaux.
Awesome. Okay, so a lot of our listeners were, I guess, kind of first introduced to you and your music through, like, your newest album, Okay. And so, like, would you like to give, like, a little bit of the history of the project that is Eskimeaux? Because, like, I know you play with a band, but, like, I guess Eskimeaux is your kind of, like, moniker.
Yeah, so I've been recording under the moniker Eskimeaux since 2007. And Okay is actually, like, my 8th record. But the rest of them are not as good, so it's fine that this is the one that everybody's heard because it's the one that I like worked the hardest on and feel the most confident about. And I started playing live, I think, in like 2008, and the band has undergone many different forms, iterations of how many people are in the band and what it sounds like. But no matter what, it's always like my project. So if no one else can play with me, I just play solo.
Yeah. So like you said, because this is like your 8th album, has the genres kind of changed, or have you seen kind of some development in the albums that you've made?
There's definitely development. I would say that mostly it's in the songwriting. I don't know if I like to think of it in terms of genre, because like I don't even know. I guess like Okay is cohesive, but I feel like it spans a lot of different, at least like emotions, and but yeah, I would say that when I first started making music, I was mostly making like weird soundscapes, and sometimes I would say stuff, but it wasn't really about songwriting because I didn't really know how to do that. And then over time I like discovered certain songwriters in the music scene in New York and in Philadelphia, and then was like, oh, like structure is really interesting and cool, and then got really into that, and then so yeah.
Awesome. So I think that Okay is like one of my favorite albums of the year, along with like Mitski's album and like Girlpool's album and like Waxahachie's album, just personally. But like I was just kind of wondering like what the inspiration for the album was and like what the recording process was like.
The inspiration it's a hard question. Yeah, I feel like the inspiration for the record was sort of these were songs that I had been working on, that I had written a couple of years ago when I was living in Chicago, and then when I joined Frankie Cosmos and was super influenced by her. I would say that the inspiration is just trying to rise to the occasion of being surrounded by some of the most amazing songwriters, I think, and just wanting to like be in their league.
That's great. Well, I think you were successful because I think it's a beautiful album.
Thank you.
I think the song that's been getting the most kind of love at our little radio station has been Broken Necks, just because it's really, really beautiful, especially the last kind of like stinger of a line, like nothing in this world is holier than friendship. And so I was wondering if you'd like kind of talk about the meaning of that song, how it came to be, and also like how it found its way on the album.
Sure. So that's the oldest song of all the songs on the record, and it was written as a response to a song that was written by a person who I was seeing for a while, who's one of the most talented songwriters ever, and he actually wrote that last line. He used it, though albeit in a very different context, because it was about like his song was about getting to like he was sick for a really long time, so his song was about getting to like finally take his shirt off and just like say f*** it and like run into the water and really enjoy life, and realizing that all the people around you like are the people who matter. And then my song was about breaking up with him and being like, you're amazing and we can be friends.
So it was like even more of a stinger than I thought it was.
Yeah, it was pretty rude on my part, but we're friends now, so I guess it worked.
No, that's awesome. I think that's like more beautiful than like an absolute like F you kind of like breakup song then, because I think that's like I don't know, I guess that's, in my mind at least, more realistic of how it would go.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that's how you want it to go, if not how it can. Yeah.
Goes. Yeah. So I know, along with Broken Nets, I admit I'm Scared is another one that kind of grew greatly from like a demo, and so do you want to talk about how that song grew as well?
Sure, yeah. That song was where Broken Necks was grown in the studio and mostly like for the album, and then we learned how to play it live. I Admit I'm Scared was definitely something that started as a demo, and then we took it into band practice, and we were like, okay, like how are we gonna play this song without making it into like a really slow, boring country song? So
that'd be an interesting rap though.
But that's kind of what it is on the demo. It's like I was probably listening to a lot of like old Porches and old like Aaron Maine stuff and wrote a country song by accident. And so we decided to like make it as powerful as possible and add those like guitar parts in the middle and stuff to make it really rock, but then also being true to its quietness and country style. Yeah.
That makes sense to me. So I was wondering, like, if you would mind talking a little bit about your live show a bit. What does an audience expect to see? Kind of who's part of the live band? Because I know that Eskimeaux is kind of like a solo project, but not live. And why are live shows important to you?
Okay, let me break down the question.
Sorry,
it's okay.
I bombarded you.
It's totally fine. So the first answer is that you can expect from the live show basically a rock outfit version of the songs, and we try as hard as we can to take what was on the record and translate that live, though with 4 of us it's kind of hard, but I think we do a good job. And the 4 people are myself, Oliver Kalb from Bellows, Felix Walworth from Told Slant, and Jack Greenleaf from Sharpless. And what was the last part of the question?
Why are live shows important to you?
Oh.
I think that, like, of all of my, like, favorite bands and artists, like, if they don't absolutely, like, do a killer live show, then, like, totally I'm not sold.
I totally agree. I feel like getting to see a band live, there are certain bands that I love the records of that I know that I never want to see live because I never want to have it ruined for me.
That's fair.
But it's because they're all like old, basically, and I just know that like they're not in their prime anymore, and I want to just like preserve whatever idea I have of them, and I probably have no idea even what they look like. But getting to see a band live you get to see a context that like your imagination doesn't give you, and photographs don't give you. Like, I think that the personal energy that each person exhibits when they're playing in their own project or in somebody else's project is like a really special and unique experience. And also you get to see a person just on any day, like they could be in any mood or having like any kind of horrible or amazing day, and so you get to just be a part of that, and that's really important, I think.
Yeah, no,
especially because the music is, at least every band that I like, the music feels, at least to me, really powerful and also personal to that person's experience.
Yeah.
So getting to delve into it even for 30 minutes is really special.
And I see it not only from like the music band perspective too. Maybe it's because like I don't play in a band, so like you probably have like a much different perspective as me, since I solely do it from a listener's perspective, while you do it from like both. But like I also think that it's like, if it's like a good community, it's like such an amazing communal experience. Like there's nothing like more like amazing and emotional than like realizing that the stranger next to you could be having the same emotional reaction like to a song,
or be like especially inspired by a certain moment in a performance. It's like so exciting.
Yeah, like I've seen like strangers just put their arms around one another and just like sing along to the chorus, and I'm like, okay, I like this. And kind of speaking about live shows, you've collaborated, played, or toured with bands like Frankie Cosmos, as you mentioned before, Elvis Depressedly, Girlpool, Alex G, Mitski, just to name a few, because I feel like you guys like have a whole great like little friends group community. I was wondering, do you tend to work with friends more, and why do you think it's important to have this sense of community in music, and really kind of what's it like to be part of what seems like an absolutely like amazing community and group of friends?
Well, yeah, I only really collaborate with friends. Like, I joined Frankie Cosmos partially because I was just like obsessed with her music, but I had met her and had no idea who she was, and then found out that she made music later and was like, oh my gosh, this is the best stuff I've ever heard, and I really want to be part of this. But also it would be really fun to be part of it because we just get to hang out, which we never get to do. So yeah. And Jack and Oliver and Felix are my like best friends basically from high school. And yeah, I feel like it's important to get to play with your friends.
And do you like feel this kind of sense of community?
Totally. Yeah, especially like, I mean, it's so amazing to get to see it expand. I was going to say especially in New York, but then I was like, well, I mean, Harmony and Cleo are from LA, and like, yeah.
Hi, puppy.
And
we have to load in.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Do you want? Okay.
Hi, puppy. Oh my gosh.
This is our tour.
Our tour
dog. Yeah.
I only have like a couple more questions.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I was wondering.
I'd rather not load in anyway.
And I was just kind of wondering, just to follow up, especially because like I've noticed that you've like worked with an incredible group of women, especially, and I was wondering kind of, and it seems like all of the people that you've toured with have like, I guess, quote unquote critically acclaimed albums of this year, but like I agree with that. And so I was just kind of wondering what you have learned from them, touring with them, and especially kind of through their music.
Well, they have definitely taught me how to be a better performer, and in a lot of ways a better, more open songwriter. Watching, like for example, getting to watch Mitski and Elvis Depressedly every night for a month and kind of see the ups and downs of their performances, and not that there were ever really any downs, but I mean like knowing behind the scenes how they were feeling and then how they translated that to a performance is just so inspiring and amazing. And definitely change. Like I feel like when we started the tour, I was like, okay, I'm the opener, so whatever I do, whatever, doesn't matter. Like everybody's here to see them. But then watching them perform, I took a lot of cues from them. Same with Greta. Greta, watching her change from being in a for lack of a better word, like a fledgling, like young band, into like a really powerful performer who's like, I deserve to be here and like I've worked to be here, is really just like so inspiring and amazing. Yeah.
And I'm gonna like actually argue with you a little bit because I feel like a lot of people who like went and saw Mitski or Elvis Depressedly like loved you as well, or if they like didn't know who you were, they definitely did after the show. So like I feel like some people treat like openers like crap, and that's really unfortunate because like some of my favorite bands now I actually saw opening for other bands. But
I feel like I was really lucky in that regard because, as we were talking about before, Matt I'd been on tour with Told Slant, so he was already our friend, and Delaney, and then yes, another Delaney, and then I was friends with Mitski. And then when we came here with Crying, like I was really good friends with all of them because we had already been on tour with them with Told Slant. So every time we've been an opener, it's been this like extremely supportive, super supportive experience where there's no like, this is the opener, so like we don't care about them and we'll just like wait for them to be done and do our thing. It's like all the bands watching each other and me. I think that feeling that support is part of what was so inspiring and made me realize like, no, like I deserve to be here, and I'm on this like huge stage, and I should perform.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And then kind of, I know you talked a lot about like who you were touring with and etc. And I was just wondering like what other artists are you currently listening to or inspired by, whether it be like artists who are like no longer with us or like from the 80s, 90s up to today.
All right. Well, I've been listening to a lot of Drake.
Yes.
On
it.
Mitski's I don't know what word I'm looking for, but
playlist.
Yeah, Mitski was like, if you're ever feeling alone, or like a lot of people, or like just alone and like people don't like you, or worried that people don't like you, if your self-esteem is low, like just listen to Drake. Like it'll just change your life. And I was like, okay. So I've been listening to a lot of Drake, a lot of Kendrick Lamar.
Yes, I just saw him at a music festival. And he
Really?
was amazing.
Oh, I'm so jealous. That sounds so awesome.
That's a good list, though.
A lot of Girlpool.
Me too.
Just like gearing up, and a lot of Shamir.
Yeah.
And there's a band in New York who I'm really obsessed with right now called Vagabond.
I've actually never heard of them.
You should check them
will.
out. They're so good. All the songs, I'm not going to tell you anything about them. You should just listen to them. They're one of the best bands ever. And yeah. And that's it.
I actually was like in the process of putting on my Girlpool shirt today, and then I was like, no, that would kind of be low-key weird.
Wouldn't be weird at all. Which one do you have?
I saw them like before their album came out, and so it was like the one with like the little download code. It's just like the album cover, the Before the World Is Big album cover.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I actually saw them. They actually performed here with Jenny Lewis.
Yeah.
Last November, so like almost a year ago. My friend and I were at the show, and we're like just looking at each other the entire time, like, what is like, this is like so good, and like became like absolutely obsessed with them like afterwards.
Yeah.
And then I saw them open for Waxahachie too, and then I have yet to see them alone, but someday maybe.
Yeah. I don't know when we go on tour with them, I don't know what the deal is. I feel like we're going up maybe through around here somewhere, but I don't actually know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I also live near New York City, so I do catch like a lot of New York City shows, but like right now it's like school just started, so. Yeah. So tonight you are playing here in Ithaca, but what do you have going on in the future? More shows, and I know this is like, I feel like there's an insane pressure on bands to like crank out the albums, but are you like working on any new material?
Yeah, I actually have an entire new record that's written, and we've been on tour so much this year. It's been like back-to-back tours I'm in 4 bands, so between the 4 bands, and especially with how much, like after the album came out, how much touring Eskimeaux has done, we've just been on tour almost literally all year. So September is our month off, fingers crossed, and that's when I'm gonna start actually like recording the new record. And yeah, I'm almost positive, but I feel like maybe you can't print this yet because it's not announced, so maybe I just won't even say it, but it's gonna come out next year.
Yes, breaking news.
Yay. Probably next fall, but maybe, hopefully next fall.
Awesome. And so, actually, okay, this is my last question. Okay. So, it's kind of a thing in all of our interviews, or mainly when I do them, that I always end with like a really stupid question. So I have 2. One is, if you could be a farm animal, what would it be?
Farm animal. I would be a goat.
This was a leading question. Continue. Why would you like to be a goat?
I would be a goat because they're amazing, first of all, and they're so cool. And they're so like hardy, and I'm a really picky eater as a human, so it would be really interesting to not be that and eat like literally anything, and also be able to climb on stuff
That's a good one. Okay, why is it this was a leading question is because the next question is, the final one is on Twitter, your banner is like the banner of like a great picture of a goat, and I also like low-key like before I came and did this was like scrolling through your Twitter feed, and I noticed that you retweeted goats every day, which like is my honestly favorite. Oh, thank you. Thanks. Thanks. Okay, thanks. So goats every day is my like favorite Twitter feed, and I think it's like absolutely hilarious. And thus it was a leading question because the next one was, what is your favorite video of a goat doing something crazy? Personally, mine is the goat doing parkour, where he like runs up like the little wooden thing and jumps off it.
I really like the video of the goat who's standing on an aluminum, it's like an aluminum arc, and so every time any weight is put on it, it shifts all the weight. It's like an equilibrium thing, and it's just like 4 or 5 goats who are all trying to get on top of this weird. Have you seen this?
No.
It's like you have to Google like goat like aluminum and you'll find it. It's I don't remember what I put into Google, but it was a ridiculously small amount of information for exactly what I was looking for. But it's really incredible, and every time like one runs up, the other ones like fall off, and then there's one that just stands at the top and is like working really, really hard. It's so amazing.
Oh, okay. I'm glad we share this passion for goat videos. Well, thank you so much for talking to me, and have a good luck with your show. I'm leaving briefly, but then I'm coming back to see you. Cool. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.